Drag Race.
There's never enough.
You're not going to get rid of us that easily.
No, and I feel like once we get to like June or July, I'm going to be like, there's so much. And I'm complaining right now about 2 seasons at once. Like, God help us. Anyway, welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where the tea is piping hot and we are ready to spill. I'm Logan Murphy. Off screen, I have 18 solo cups sitting in front of me, but today, as always, we have Big Cup.
Big Cup.
The pitcher returns.
Yes.
I am Brandon. I have some residual boba left, so
Good.
Now resorting back to water, but everyone hydrate. We got it too.
Oh, yes.
I'm Jaye. I have a big mug of tea. There's nothing left, though.
Oh, no. The remnants of tea.
The remnants of tea.
I mean, we've got a lot of tea to spill today because we are diving into RuPaul's Best Friends Make Him Laugh Southern Hospitality Rigged Against Daya Betty Race, Season 14, Episode 7. And I'm just going to start out by saying I am now convinced there is a conspiracy theory against Daya Betty.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'll explain why in the episode, but I'm convinced that there is a conspiracy against Daya Betty.
This was a good episode. This was a good episode.
Can we talk about how this is the highest rated episode of RuPaul's Drag Race ever on IMDb?
Really?
It might just be the Untucked. I think it's actually just Untucked.
Yeah, I was going to say it was. Yeah.
But I don't think IMDb separates them.
Interesting.
I'm going to do some really quick searching on IMDb to make sure that that is still correct. But yes, we start this episode. We have lost our straight man. Maddie Morphosis has unfortunately departed in a lip sync accident against Jasmine Kennedie. And Jasmine comes back in and she is all kinds of confident because she did exactly what she said she was going to do and win the lip sync, and she's excited. Yes, she's excited. And Camden is wanting to win a challenge. Jorgeous has won the challenge. And Daya is like, well, Daya basically says what all of us said on social media, and that Jorgeous shouldn't have won the challenge.
I mean, I have to say, this is the only time something's come out of Daya's mouth where I'm like, yes, you're 100% right, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Again, I'm not sure what's been going on, like, with this editing, in my opinion, because I'm just like, I really don't think, like, trying to make Daya the villain this season, like, it's not working. I don't think it's working. It's like, everyone loves Daya, so...
Literally.
I find her exhausting. So
yeah, I was like, I know Jaye doesn't particularly care for Daya.
I find her a little whiny and exhausting.
I think
I'm sorry.
And I understand that. I think part of it for me is the editing, but I think the other part, like, as we see on a lot of seasons, like, she said all of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just the way that they're editing her is making her into the villain, but like, especially in Untucked, like, she said all that stuff, so I don't know. But Daya's in her feelings again because she wasn't in the top. When again, I think she should have been personally, but the judges did not think so. And then I think my favorite moment of the episode itself is in the da 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 before the new intro song, when Camden puts on Daya's wig.
Oh my god.
And it's like, I made an outfit from scratch. And I
hysterical.
Died laughing. I am so happy that Lady Camden is finally getting the airtime that she so rightfully deserves because God, she's hilarious.
She so is.
I love her.
Yes. And they walk into the workroom. Before we talk about the workroom stuff, I would also like to acknowledge our gone but not forgotten Queen Cornbread. Every episode, we just have to. She also deactivated her social media.
Oh yeah.
Because of all the things that have been happening.
Wait, what?
Yeah, she's been in the middle of a lot of, there was a lot of, I guess we'll talk about this. So there was a lot of controversy online this week specifically between Jorgeous and one Cynthia Lee Fontaine, Miss Cuckoo. Where Miss Cuckoo was basically saying what all of us were thinking, saying that she was confused as to how Jorgeous won the challenge. And Jorgeous replied to that. There was like a whole thread between Cuckoo and like a non-Drag Race person, to which Jorgeous replied, well, I guess that's why your car crashed or something. Because earlier in that day, or that's why your car's fucked up or something. Because earlier in the day, Cynthia had tweeted and posted on Facebook that she had been in a car crash.
Okay.
And so Jorgeous is now like using that against her, trying to like make a dig at her, which I think is just incredibly uncalled for.
Yeah.
I honestly lost a lot of respect for Jorgeous, seeing what's transpired online. Like, I'm kind of off the Jorgeous train for now.
Well, what does this have to do with Cornbread?
Well, Cornbread was getting involved in it, basically saying like, Jorgeous, put your phone down, and then fans were coming for Cornbread.
What?
And this like whole thing, so Cornbread deactivated. It's like this whole thing. I'm just like, because I understand Cornbread is trying to defend her seasoned sister, and I get that, but also like, no one looks great in this situation.
Yeah.
Between the three of them. I just think what Jorgeous said was a little bit too far, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, you shouldn't say something like that.
Plus, like, let's be honest, I think Jorgeous was surprised she won the damn challenge. Like, the win is valid because RuPaul said so, but like, girl, there were 5 other people with better looks than you, in my opinion. So, I don't know. It just felt really unprofessional. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. But we walk back into the workroom the next day, and Daya kind of apologizes to Jorgeous. Was like, it was a weird apology in that there were just a lot of words behind the apology that I don't think necessarily were needed.
It felt very much like, I'm sorry that
I'm sorry you felt that way. Yeah, it felt very much so like, I'm sorry you felt that way without saying that, which, like, I don't know. It's whatever, honestly. Like, but Ru walks into the workroom. We find out that the maxi challenge for the week is the Daytona Wind. I found out like 30 minutes ago that it was singular wind and not winds, which I think would have made a lot more sense given the bullshit that happens later. We'll talk about it. I have a lot of thoughts on that later, but we are doing a campy soap opera inspired maxi challenge, very heavily derived from the plot lines of Dynasty, which is a favorite television show of mine. I love Dynasty. I grew up watching Dynasty, which kind of explains the person that I am today. But
yes,
because I grew up watching Dynasty, Friends, and Frasier.
Yeah, that checks out.
Interesting mix, but
isn't it? Isn't it? Mm-hmm. As like a 10-year-old watching Friends, like. Anyway, so because Jorgeous won last week's maxi challenge, she gets to assign the roles, and I didn't know how this was going to go, but she ends up being super fair. And it's just like, whatever role y'all want, you can have. And I thought that was like super. And I think it was Kerri that said like that was definitely the best political move Jorgeous could have made at any given point. And Jorgeous even says to the group, like, if y'all fail, it's going to be on y'all and not on me.
That's
so. But yeah, so everyone ends up getting a role that they're okay with, except for Camden. And she ends up getting the only role left over.
I mean, I wouldn't say like it was something that I know she didn't want it, but at the same time, like she was okay with it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a bad role anyway. And she doesn't even say like necessarily it's a bad role. She's just like, I haven't been able to look through this script long enough because girls are claiming their roles and I'm still on page 1. And she ends up with the role of Leona Michaels, which I actually think is one of the strongest written roles.
Oh yeah.
I thought the roles that like people were going to end up with if there was someone like left over were going to be like the Michaels sisters.
Which was I found very odd because like I remember when they were picking, I was just like, oh, so they're trying to like pick something that they think that they're gonna try to like excel in because they in seasons past, like those are like considered like the filler roles, but I think they wanted to do that to make itself easy for them.
Yeah. Well, and I loved this full like breaking the fourth wall moment in the confessional from Kerri, being like, there's a lot of these roles with a lot of lines, but like I'm kind of eyeing these smaller roles because we've seen in acting challenges and musicals of the past that sometimes it's the smaller role that you're able to like highlight and really like shine from.
Yeah.
As far as acting challenges are concerned, I think specifically of like Asia O'Hara in the Breast World Challenge, in the parasailing role. I think of like Rosé in the like the gnome role from the Flag Factory from last season. So she ends up eyeing this what is her name, Deandra Davenport role, because I also love that they tied in like the families were the Davenports, the O'Haras, and the Michaels. I was like, and then in the actual sketch when they have Raja O'Hara and Eureka O'Hara on the screen.
So funny.
But yes, so we have the roles that were chosen. We have Jasmine as Hattie Ruth O'Hara, Bosco as Fancy Michaels, Daya and Willow are the Michaels sisters that are unnamed for some reason. DeJa gets the role of Maggie O'Hara. She originally wanted Sierra Michaels, but Jorgeous was like, I want that role. And so DeJa's like, well, I guess I'm not getting that role. Cool. Which I appreciated DeJa getting some comedy. DeJa had confessionals in this episode.
Yeah.
Which I don't think she had in the last couple. And if she did, they were very short. So I was happy to see some DeJa confessionals. Angie gets the role of Maxine O'Hara. Kerri gets the Deandra Davenport role. And Lady Camden is ultimately left with the Leona Michaels role. There isn't really a whole lot to discuss as far as like the workroom stuff and the performance of the challenge. We see DeJa struggling in the workroom and then a little bit in the recording. We see Angie struggling for the first time on the season. And I also thought it was a really interesting choice that I liked at first, that the sketch was actually directed by RuPaul, which is not something we've seen in a long time.
Since season 7?
I think Shakespeare was the last challenge that she directed.
Yeah, I'm remembering that now. Because I'm just like...
Because I was thinking of the next season with the Empire Challenge, but I think that was Michelle Visage.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think Shakespeare was the last challenge that she directed. And obviously, knowing what we know now, having watched the full episode and the final result, I understand why. I actually didn't hate RuPaul as director.
Same.
Because like with Michelle and with Carson and with Ross, like, love them, but they're not necessarily known for their directing skills. Whereas RuPaul has been in a lot more like actual shows and kind of like it felt a little bit easier, like the rehearsal and the actual like filming felt a little bit like easier with RuPaul as director.
Yeah.
And it was also a good opportunity, in my opinion, to like see RuPaul interacting with the girls. But yeah, I didn't really have a whole lot from the performance itself, the recording of the performance. I don't know if y'all did, but I didn't really take a whole lot from it.
I wanted to bring up something though. So I went to DC again for Tatiana's watch party. Tatiana brought up the fact that when for All Stars 2, when she did the commercial, she said that Michelle directed that, and when she took Michelle's advice, it was not as received well from taking that advice. So when she realized that, when RuPaul was actually like giving actual advice and then actually like knowing that, I was just like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like, I think Michelle is a great director in music challenges. And like in like, I was gonna say, like, there's really no other like directing, like in the improv sort of things. I think Michelle's a bit of a better like director than RuPaul would be. But I think in the acting challenges, honestly, moving forward, I would love to see RuPaul doing more of the directing personally. Jaye, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
But... I mean, like, I think Michelle does a lot better with the comedy and the music stuff, but Ru definitely has more background with the acting, and I thought excelled in that. And it seemed that Ru was giving directions to the girls that they were able to follow and that they understood how to take it better than like, oh, we'll just do it this, like, or just do it like slower.
Just don't do this is usually like the critiques that like, especially Ross. I feel like Ross is like the most out of place in those sort of things. But yeah, I was like, this is one of the few moments where I was like, okay, I don't actually like dislike what RuPaul is doing here. Like, this is pretty good. I'm not mad at it.
I thought it was better. I mean, it seemed like the girls were able to follow the direction a lot better and had a better, obviously they had much better overall result.
Yes. I saw a lot of people online talking about this. I think this is definitely one of the best acting challenges in a long time.
Yeah. I agree.
I think it was brought down by, you know, the jokes of it all, which we'll bring up shortly, but yeah. So before we dive into the challenge, I do want to talk about the workroom stuff because I thought it was funny. Because we finally have a reference to the Folsom Street Fair on Drag Race. And I was like, I was honestly taken aback a little bit that they showed actual photos.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. So I guess that's what we get when we finally have more Northern Californian queens on the season. Because literally, we've only had 4, and 2 of them are on this season.
Oh, yeah.
Because the only other queens, because DeJa's the only queen from Fresno, and then the only other San Francisco queens other than Camden were Rock'em Sakura, which I will bring up later, and Honey Mahogany.
Right, yeah.
This was funny. Yeah, this was funny to me because when they brought up Folsom, like, again, at this watch party, other co-host, Crystal Edge, she, like, is obsessed with, like, this type of stuff. And, Yeah, and DC, we have a weekend. It's called MAL, which is a leather weekend thing.
Oh, Mal.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And I was just like, so basically, like, I was talking to people about this. I was like, so this is MAL, and they were just like, that, but times 100.
Literally.
And I was just like, oh, okay.
Mal was derived because of Folsom being on the West Coast, honestly. So they needed an East Coast version. But yeah, I was kind of surprised that we had the discussion, that there were photos, and then I loved Angie just being confused the whole time. She's like, and then the other line of the episode, along with the Camden impression, I want to go to the fair.
That was so funny.
I loved it.
Love Angeria so much. She's just incredible. And then we also find out that Maddie left Jasmine a note, kind of like squashing the beef of the last episode that we really didn't talk about a whole lot in our last episode because the drama was mostly dumb.
I thought that was very big of Maddie. I thought that was awesome. I really liked that.
I mean, honestly, like, power to Maddie, because like
Yes.
Maddie didn't want to like and it showed in Untucked last episode that Maddie didn't want to like fight this much, which I appreciate so much, because I'm just like, I don't want to come off as like this bitchy drama queen, which has been shown in the past, obviously.
I hope you have the second best lip sync performance of the evening. It's one of my favorite things that has ever been said on Drag Race. I'm going to be honest.
That better be in next year's.
Right, and package. Like just replace Elliot with 3K's whining with I hope you have the second best lip sync performance of the evening. Either that or have your moment. Have your moment, girl. Which I also love.
I love it.
Do we want to talk about the challenge first and then the runway?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what to bring up. I'm going to be honest. Like, so the skit starts, and you know it's what we saw in the rehearsal and the filming. And Ru mentions before it airs that this is the director's cut, and then we get the fart jokes. And they just don't stop.
I mean, I had to laugh in Untucked where DeJa was like, I thought the first one was honestly me, but after the second one, I knew that wasn't me. I thought that was so funny. And I was like, I just adore DeJa. She's hysterical.
I love her.
And just so sweet. You like just want to be her friend.
Literally.
But I was so confused with the jokes because I feel like every season somebody does some sort of fart jokes or poop jokes, and the judges are like, why? You don't have to resort to this. This is inappropriate. Like, why are you doing this? I remember Michelle Visage bringing that up recently in one of the seasons.
Yes,
Season
because
12.
it was with Rock'em Sakura specifically.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to bring up. The fucking hypocrisy of this judging panel to rip specifically Michelle Visage, ripping Rock'em Sakura apart on episode 2 of season 12. And then 2 seasons later for RuPaul to make these jokes. Because I don't think Michelle specifically loved it. But I was like, for RuPaul to make this sort of dumb, stupid joke, this is another thing where I'm just like, another moment where I'm like, just get Ru out of there. Like, we're resorting to fart jokes.
It felt very much like it's not okay if the contestants bring it up or do it themselves, but if the judges initiate it, then it's totally okay. And I was like, there's just a lot of hypocrisy with this, and I just didn't understand. It made me question, like, what are the actual rules here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was very confused. Of course, everyone, again, I was at the watch party, so everyone was laughing, but at the same time, I was so lost because I was just like, what is happening? And then, of course, people make, it's the wind. I was just like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, this is stupid. it honestly took away from my enjoyment of the acting challenge.
I know.
Really honest. Like, it just, like... Well, and then I also think of, like, All-Stars 3 in the My Best Squirrel Friends Drags Maids wedding trip, whatever the fuck.
Right.
I think I got that right, actually. But at the end, when they make another fart joke, where I'm just like you said, Jay, so if production does it, then it's fine. But if a contestant does it, blasphemy. And it's just like, what is happening here? Like, we'll talk about it, but I'm genuinely very happy no one went home on this challenge, because if someone were to go home on a fart joke, I would have been rioting. It
was interesting because I felt like, you mentioned it earlier, Logan, that it felt like the noises took away from the acting challenge, but like, I mean, obviously the queens didn't know what they were doing, though, but for Ru to be able to coach them to make certain expressions and then to have, like, certain sounds like, dubbed into that, it was like, that was actually kind of genius, because the expression worked, even though they had no idea what they were doing. So in that regard, like, well done on the acting, but also, like, I felt it was more about the jokes than it was the actual acting. So I felt like we didn't really get a whole lot of acting and more just noises. So I couldn't decide who did good and who did bad. And the only thought process I had was, well, 3 struggled during it, so I guess they have to be the worst, because I can't tell who did good or who did bad, because that's not the focal point of this acting challenge.
Mm-hmm. It seemed obvious who was on the top and who was on the bottom for me. But we're about to bring up.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I'm in a couple of minds about, like, why this happened, and we'll talk about the runway in a second, but, like, so no one goes home this episode, which I appreciated, given the fact that all of their performances turned into a fart joke. I'm curious, though, whether this was because Cornbread had been eliminated, so they had an extra episode to do something with, whether this was like, honestly, I'm gonna say it, as much as I love Angie, I feel like this was more so a way to keep Angie out of the bottom 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because love her, but I do think she was the worst.
Yeah, and she even knew that.
She knew.
Yeah, she even knew that she did bad. So that's the thing. And I'm agreeing with those theories with, like, Cornbread leaving. They have an extra episode, and also they didn't want Angie to leave. Like, it would have been too soon, because Angie's been on the top for all these weeks that she competed.
Every week she's competed. She's been in the top, except for this one.
Mm-hmm. So this was a way it was either a way to keep Angie in, or because they had the extra episode because Cornbread left. So,
or both, honestly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's a little bit of both, but we'll talk about who was safe. But first, runway. And I want to talk about our guest judge, because she is just a light in my life. One of my favorite humans on the face of this planet. T.S. Madison is back. God, I love her. She is just so incredible as a guest judge and as a human.
Mm-hmm. Petition to make her permanent.
Honestly, cycle her in with Ross and Carson.
That part.
Honestly, like, there's a spot for a 5th guest judge. Honestly, if you're going to rotate in the white gays, rotate in a black woman, please. There's been plenty of them. Just rotate between Nicole, Lonnie, TS, and Nicole.
You said Nicole twice.
I did say Nicole twice. Who else was I thinking of? Nicole can be on twice. You know what?
Yeah, Nicole deserves to be
No, who else was that? Nicole Byer, T.S. Madison, Lonnie Love. Who else am I thinking of?
She does Supermarket Sweep now.
Leslie Jones.
Leslie Jones.
Hell yeah, throw Leslie Jones in the mix.
I loved Leslie Jones when she was on.
If Lizzo was more free, I'd say throw Lizzo in the mix every once in a while.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'd love Leslie. I need Leslie Jones back. She's incredible. But yes, so the category for the week is Chaps on the runway. I don't know why it was a question, but that's how Rue said it, so that's why I'm going to say it. First up, Willow Pill.
This was good.
Yes.
I don't think I love this as much as y'all do, I'm going to be honest.
Okay, state your reasoning.
I think it's a perfectly well done look. For me, this concept has been done a few too many times recently.
Okay.
I think immediately of Priyanka, and I think of Simone.
Oh, okay. All right.
Specifically Simone.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I think of. I don't think this is bad by any means of the imagination, and I understand the concept and all of that, and I think it's a well done look. It seemed almost ill-fitting in certain places.
I can see that. Mm-hmm.
But I don't dislike it. I just think y'all like it more than I do.
I mean, I thought it was really good, but now that you bring up that it has been done, but I thought she looked great and I really liked it still.
For me, it was the hands, like the hands on the ponytails. I loved it. I was just like, okay, I love that.
I will also give her the benefit of the doubt because I think this was filmed before Simone's finale look.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. That was kind of the comparison I made. It was mostly because of the ill-fitting. It was a little ill-fitting in places, but I thought it's maybe my least favorite look of Willow, but like everything else she's provided on the runway has been amazing. So like, whatever, honestly. Bosco, this is fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
I actually didn't love this.
State your reasoning.
I felt it looked a little inexpensive. And I know nobody can agree with me. And I don't know if it was just the color or maybe it was just the fact that it was like that particular shade of pink on the leather. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. But that's just me.
Sure.
It fit her really well and I really liked it on her.
I wish there was another color to contrast with this pink.
Yeah, I was going to say it was like a bit too light. Well, this picture specifically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I thought she looked great, though. In Untucked, it looked a lot better than on the runway, is what I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you're able to see it a little bit more up close, I liked it, but I thought another solid week for Bosco.
Yeah.
Overall. I will say, briefly talking about Willow Pill again, she had one of my favorite lines in the acting challenge, where she was like, "Our invites must have gotten lost in the email." And my roommate and I have been saying that nonstop since Friday. So like it's
that was one of my favorite lines.
It's really
so funny.
It's the only line I can actually remember. I'm gonna be honest.
Also, I don't necessarily agree with Michelle kind of harping on, oh, it sounded like too much like Moira Rose, and I'm like, yeah, like it did a little bit, but not as much as I think. Like I know what she was going for, but I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever. I still love it.
DeJa Skye. Now this is interesting from DeJa because she actually tweeted today at the time that we're filming that she had a different look planned. So she actually had a bridal look planned for this runway, but because of the ball, she made this the night before the runway.
Oh wow.
Okay.
And I liked this before I knew that. So I'm incredibly impressed, even more so than I was.
So this makes me love it even more, and it was already my favorite look of the runway.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I just thought she looked really beautiful. I loved the big orange hair on her. I loved the way her body looked. I felt that this like really accentuated her curves and just really fit her really well and like showed off all of her best assets. And the colors I thought went really good with like with each other and her skin. And even though it's blue and orange,
it's our favorite color combination.
But this one to me worked.
Absolutely.
And
yes, I agree.
I was like, and you know, it's so funny because I remember like watching it today, and I was like, I think Brandon and Logan are going to be like, what the hell are you thinking if that's your favorite on the runway? But I have to say, there wasn't anything that I could clock on this. It just looked good all around. She looked great. So this was my favorite on the runway.
No, but here's the thing though. I love the blue and orange combo, but again, like Logan said, we've seen it so many times.
Yeah. It's recency bias, and I'm fully going to admit that.
Yes, like, exactly. So
if there was a way that I could, honestly, next week, our theme is probably going to be blue and orange in our episode. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's going to be orange bubbles and a blue background, and I'm not even mad about it.
Just keep it that way.
Honestly, just for Drag Race, though. Just for Drag Race.
Yep.
No, I really like this. I don't know what my favorite look of the night is on the runway. I'm going to be honest. I think this is up there for me, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think this is really good.
I'll say mine after all has been said. So
sure.
But yeah, go back real quick.
Oh, my bad.
Just really quick about this. When she first came out with this, like. At first, I thought that like navy leather was like sequin for some reason.
Yeah.
Is it not?
It's not.
Oh.
I thought it was sequenced too.
I also thought it was sequenced.
Yeah, because when I looked at it very carefully, I was just like, it looks like sequin, but I know it's not because again, leather. So I was just like, again, it still worked. I was just like, I would have loved a sequin chap. I will say.
Oh yeah. I should have realized that this was made from like fabric in the workroom, because this is like the mainstay fabric that we've had for like years in the workroom.
Yeah.
There's the pink leopard print, there's the blue leopard print, which we've seen time and time again on the runway. So but no, I thought DeJa did a great job.
Again, when you mentioned that this was made the night before, like I was like, whoa.
It impresses me even more.
Yeah.
Where was this level of designing it last week, honestly?
That part.
I didn't think last week was bad, but she could have done so much more.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'm loving DeJa. I'm very happy as well. Like my two of my favorites, I don't think my two favorites, because I love Angie and Willow and most of this cast, honestly. But like two of my other favorites in DeJa and Camden, I think really got to shine in this episode. And I was so happy to see it. Mm-hmm. So Kerri Colby is up next. This is a really bad photo of this look, but it's the only full body look, or the full body shot from her runway walk.
I got what she was going for this. I didn't love it.
Yeah, I'm same. Like I get what she was doing, but we didn't see the chaps.
Yeah, I honestly think it comes down to just like brushing out the chaps. Such a weird phrase. But like it just needed to be brushed out a little bit, because you could kind of see like a folding pattern in like when you look at it close up on the runway, there's a bit of like a fold in some of the hair pieces, so you can tell that this was like packaged a certain way to bring to Drag Race. I think this is the best hair Kerri has worn on the runway, and I think this is the best her face has looked on the runway. I loved this tits up, but everything else, it kind of fell flat for me. But I really appreciate the ingenuity in this concept, because I don't think anyone else would have thought of this concept. I just wish the execution was just a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. Like execution was meh, but the concept was just on point.
This whole runway, I was like, the doors Ellie Diamond has opened, like truly. And I tweeted that. I wanted to get a like from her, but she's also on tour, so I know she's like doing busy stuff. But I was like, the doors Ellie Diamond has opened. Oh goodness. Oh boy. So this is also the only full body image of Jorgeous on the runway, and I think for good reason. This is not good. This is not Chaps. It's a no. It's just a no.
Major boot.
I think
Jorgeous looked gorgeous, but these were not chaps.
Again, tits up, she looks phenomenal. But the biggest problem for me, beyond the fact that it's not chaps, the biggest issue is that you can clearly tell, because of the cut of the panty, what is her actual skin and what is her padding.
Oh, yeah.
Because it cuts her off at the waist, and it's so very obviously padding on the bottom and like her actual stomach, and it bothered me so much. I was honestly surprised that she was in the top, given this runway look, because I also don't think her performance was all that special. Because again, we have a top 6 this week, so like a lot of people made it into the top. For me, of the safe girls, I think I honestly would have put Kerri in the top.
Yeah, same.
I think Kerri did a really good job.
Yeah, I would have switched Jorgeous and Kerri. So
I would have put DeJa instead.
I can justify DeJa as well.
Same.
Because again, there were 8 people that did well.
Again, I was just glad.
There was Angie. I was like, I think she's next.
Yep. Again, I'm just glad that Angie acknowledged that she knew she did bad.
You know, she knew that lip sync song, top to bottom, left, right, all of it. So this is in a very similar boat to DeJa for me. Like, both of them are very much so like show costumes, but I also think she looks incredible, so I don't care.
Yeah, I didn't like. I'm not loving like the Mickey Mouse ear sleeves, but because I feel like we've seen that a lot lately. Yeah. Maybe it's because it brings me back to Jimbo's first like first day look.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it brings me back to that. But she looked great. This fit her well.
This color, this gold is gorgeous on her.
Yeah, she looked great.
Yeah, there just wasn't a whole lot of ingenuity in this look, unfortunately. I do love her in a straight, slicked back Cher hair. And this is again something with Angie that, like I said a few episodes ago, I was wanting to see like different things from her, and this is different. Yeah. So, you know, I'm happy to see, like, we got fashion out of her. We got this sort of like disco show outfit, which I do think is well done. There's just not a whole lot of ingenuity here, but I think it's a well done garment.
You know, it was interesting because right as she was coming down the runway, I was thinking to myself, man, everybody in this episode has been commenting on how long their wigs are. Oh, I got 22 inches. Oh, I got 40 inches. Oh, I got 90 inches. And then she comes out and she's like, oh, I got 24 inches. And I'm like,
literally, Kerri's hair was to the floor.
Everybody was very happy with their hair this episode. But I'm like, but also T.S. Madison being there, of course, this is the hair.
We didn't even talk about it. Her "I Dream of Weenie" joke.
That was so good.
I love her. I adore this woman with every fiber of my being. Jasmine Kennedie is up next, and I know I'm gonna be in the minority. I love this look.
Oh, I do too.
Then we're in the minority of the internet, Brandon. No, I really like this. It's an interesting concept. Another color combo we're seeing a lot recently, blue and yellow. But I think this is really well done. Something about the like blue mesh where there's no like panty situation happening was just ever so slightly weird for me. But I do love this like harness into chaps situation with then the like the graduation gown aspect of it. I liked it.
Yeah, it was so different and weird, and I loved it. I just loved her hair.
Yes.
Yeah, this was good to me. Like it brought a different concept, like for what she was going for. So
yeah,
which I was glad that Jasmine took on. So
this was a great week for Jasmine as well. Like this was incredibly solid.
Yeah, it was so weird in the the challenge, and then this was also just so weird too. I was like, I like this. She did great.
This is a Jasmine that I'm liking a lot. Not that I disliked her before, but I'm liking this Jasmine. Or as my roommate is now affectionately calling her, Jennifer Edwards, because he keeps not remembering her name and he keeps calling her Jennifer, and I'm not really sure why. And then because of the Alyssa Edwards references that were made this week, we're now affectionately calling her Jennifer Edwards.
I love it.
And then I added like all the pageant names to the end. So I was like, Jennifer Edwards, Michaels, Davenport, O'Hara, Dupree, Sinclair. That is what I'm calling her.
Put that in the fine print of when you put this on the slide.
Honestly. Jasmine Kennedie, aka Jennifer Edwards, Davenport, O'Hara, Sinclair, Michaels. It's always going to be different too. It's always a different order because I can't remember what order I put it in the first time. But no, I love Jasmine. Lady Camden with the fall heard round the universe.
So full on, I was watching this. I only just watched the episode today. And I was really, really tired. So I'm curled up on the couch with Noodles, my cat. And I was dozing off. And I had like one eye like half open. And she comes down the runway and she falls. And I like jump up. And Noodles goes flying. And I'm like, oh my God. And she's just like there on the ground. And I'm like, oh my God, is she hurt? Is she going out? Like, why didn't Logan like text me?
Do we need the paper bag? Like, what's happening?
He's like, just. I was like, why didn't Logan text me earlier that I'd seen this episode? Like, oh my God, is she okay? Like, I should check. Do I check Twitter? What do I do? And then she gets up and pulls this out. I'm like, bitch, you just woke me up.
Thank you, Lady Camden.
Yo. Okay.
So smart.
Yeah.
Killed it.
So smart.
The watch party.
I love it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Watch party went wild for Camden.
I believe it.
Like I remember like when she first fell, everyone just like audibly gasped. Like it was deafening. And then just when she pulls like the reveal, like everyone was hollering. I was like myself included because I was just this was the look of the fucking week.
So this actually isn't my favorite look of the week. I'm gonna be honest. I think this was my favorite performance on the runway of the week. But no. So I actually saw this runway before I even watched the episode, so I knew it was coming. Because I unfortunately chose to watch Celebrity Big Brother on Friday night instead of Drag Race, which I no longer have to do. Thank you, Jesus. But yeah, so I knew this was coming because I was on Twitter. But I saw a video. Yua Hamasaki was doing a watch party. She was like a special guest at Camden's home bar in San Francisco. And the just applause, the screaming happening when she gets up and people realize it's a Freddie Mercury thing. It just was so good. I love this. I love her. I'm happy she's finally getting recognition on this damn season. And I'm happy with this. It's great. Last up on the runway is Daya Betty. This is incredible. I love this look.
This was my favorite look this week.
Fair.
Yeah, because like when, of course, everyone was reacting how like Camden would like just pull off that reveal, but when it came to like the challenge, of course, Daya like killed it with this challenge, like with this runway. Like I loved it. Like the regalness of it all. Like I'm just like so happy to see.
Is this Crystal Method? I don't think so.
That part.
God help us.
I had an issue with the hat. it felt like the brim or the cap was a little bit small. I don't know. I don't know if I loved this or if I didn't. I couldn't decide on this.
I had an issue with the hat in the lip sync. That's where I had the issue with the hat. But I understand where you're coming from, Jaye.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is one of the better looks Daya has presented on the runway.
Mm-hmm.
I still think her red, white, and blue bridal was the best she's looked. But
I agree.
Yeah,
I thought this was an incredibly solid runway. It sounds like we have 3 different favorites on the runway also, which I love, because Jaye, you said yours was DeJa. And Brandon, you said yours was Daya.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Mine was Jasmine.
Okay, fair.
I think just the ingenuity of the look paired with how well done it was. It was something very unexpected for Jasmine, and I was really happy to see it. So I'm going to say Jasmine, but Daya and DeJa are both up there for me as well as like very, very good looks.
Yeah. I don't know if I would have put Daya in the top but definitely Lady Camden.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would have put Daya in the top, but as soon as they announced her, I was like, okay, well, at least she'll stop complaining about not being in the top. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. If she doesn't win this next episode, she's just going to be bitching about how she didn't win this.
And that is why I have a conspiracy theory that they have something against Daya Betty. So, yeah, so we get the safe girls we kind of already talked about it a little bit, but the safe girls are DeJa, Kerri, and Angie, and everybody else is in the top. Which again, I think is mostly a ploy to save Angie, which, you know what? I'm fine with it.
Same.
I'm not mad at it. But yes, we get a top 6 of everybody else. And we find out no one's going home and that the top 2 are going to lip sync for the win. We then find out that the top 2 are Lady Camden and Daya Betty. This would not have been my top 2.
Yeah, not my top 2, but Camden would have been.
So my top 2 based on performance and runway would have been Camden and Jasmine.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
I could have definitely seen that. I could have thought Willow could have been on the top as well.
I was gonna say or Willow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it would have been Camden, Jasmine, and then like just slightly behind Jasmine would have been Willow for me, and then DeJa.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I also thought Bosco did a really good job in the challenge. I think Bosco could have been up there. I think honestly they put Daya in the top to then tease, like it's like dangling a carrot in front of her face with like this win that she's been, oh my god, I want to win, oh my god, I need to win, oh my god, I want to be in the top. She's finally in the top, and then we'll talk about it. So Daya and Camden lip sync to a great song, One Way or Another by Blondie. Hello.
So good.
Okay. You want to hear the conspiracy I had that I told you about?
No.
Okay, so right before this episode, they played Mean Girls.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that one scene when they played One Way or Another.
Yep.
And I was just like, was this a coincidence or did they do this intentionally?
Well, they air Mean Girls like every 3 weeks right before Drag Race.
Well,
like it happens pretty frequently.
Like I'm aware of that, but like this seemed intentional because I was just like, they played One Way or Another on Mean Girls, obviously, and then this was the lip sync this week, so I was just like,
probably.
I was like, okay,
yeah,
like I loved it because I was just like, it kind of kept on theme for this week.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that was purposeful. I also thought this was the best lip sync of the season so far.
Yes.
I thought they both did a really good job. Where Jaye, you were talking about Daya's hat on the runway. This is where I had the issue with the hat. because it just blocked so much of her face that it was so difficult to see her emoting the song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Camden is running circles around her on the on the stage.
Yeah.
To me at first, I was like, oh, well, this could be a really close lip sync. But then 30 seconds in, I was like, yeah, no, Camden's winning this. Like, just take the camera off, Daya.
I think Daya did a great job, though.
Did fine,
We do. Lady Camden gets a win! Yay!
Yes!
Thank God. I can finally justify putting her in my top 4.
It's about time because, again, she deserved the win last week.
That part. But yes, Lady Camden gets the win. Daya does not have a win still.
I mean, I think she's okay. I think at this point, I think she's actually okay being on top finally. So
it does suck though that she was in the top in an episode where 5 other people were in the top.
Which so
like she statistically had a 66% chance of being in the top without knowing it. So
yeah.
But regardless, I'm very happy that Lady Camden finally gets her win.
Finally.
And yeah, next week is 60s girl groups.
Super excited for this one.
Very excited for this one. I'm very excited.
I'm going to be so exhausted next week, but I'm going to do my best to do a 60s somewhat small, tiny little beehive thing.
Yes. Just wear it to work on Sunday. It's fine.
I'm going to.
Yay. We don't normally talk about Untucked all that much. Obviously, there's a very poignant thing that happens in this Untucked, so we're going to talk about it. There's a few things. Angie fully has a panic attack walking off stage. And DeJa and Kerri are like, just breathe, girl. Like, just breathe. Because she thought she was lip syncing for her life, which in any other episode she would have been. Based on the 3 that were safe, probably against Kerri. If I had to pick a bottom 2, it would probably be, even though I said Kerri could have been in the top. No, actually, no, fuck that. I think it would have been Jorgeous and Angie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would have said that.
I forgot about Jorgeous' performance.
Same.
So I'm happy we still have Angie. So all the girls come back after the runway critiques. They find out everybody's in the top. Daya cannot stop talking about all of her emotions about finally being in the top. All the girls seem to think that it's going to be Camden and Jasmine as well, which I thought was funny as far as the top 2 is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets really emotional. So it starts with DeJa talking about pushing her mom away growing up, and like the pandemic has really taught her like her mom was just doing the best that she could. We don't really get any more backstory on that, but I hope we do in subsequent episodes, just because I would like to understand DeJa a little bit more as a human, because I really like her. Mm-hmm. T.S. Madison comes back, which I love, because she's always good about that. And talks to the girls about like her experiences, because they were talking about family and all that. So she brings up, you know, having a really troubled upbringing and like putting herself in really bad situations. But ultimately, like now she's one of the biggest stars, in my opinion. I love her. And then we get the big emotional moment, not prompted by producers at all. The way this came about was really strange, because TS leaves and then DeJa just straight up asks the group, like, has anyone thought about transitioning? And it felt like a really weird and stunted way to start that conversation.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know if it was just because T.S. Madison was there and she is a trans woman. And because we have Kerri Colby on the season, I don't really know. But Bosco talks a little bit about wanting to transition. Obviously, we know we talked about it last week. She has since started her transitioning journey, which all of the love to Bosco. And then the most lovely moment, Jasmine coming out as a trans woman on the show. Mm-hmm. I cried both times I watched this. Just like as a non-binary person who's still like very early in their like figuring out who the fuck I identify as, it resonated a little bit, and obviously I don't know what it's like to fully like start going through the transitioning process because that's not something I want for myself. But anytime I see people like fully embracing exactly who they are and like realizing that and having that breakthrough, it's an incredible moment for me. So I applaud Jasmine, and we have 4 trans girls on this season of Drag Race.
Yeah, I was able to watch this when I got home since we did not watch Untucked at the watch party. Since right after the episode was over, they went straight to a DJ set, which again, everyone didn't want to get emotional at that point. So
yeah, I believe it.
Which I understand why. So so once I got home, I was able to watch Untucked, and I was just like, oh wow. So, and it just hit me too. So I was just like, even though I am not a trans person, but it was just very emotional to listen to. So I was so happy to like hear that like everyone's living their truth, and it's something that I'm glad that they can just share like on an open platform like this.
Yeah. I thought it was a really beautiful moment, and I'm super supportive of all the girls who've, decided to go on this journey because they're all lovely, and I hope them the absolute best.
Like, look at just the one casting choice of Kerri Colby influencing 3 of her sisters to take the next step. Because it sounds like, from looking at like the timelines of people posting on social media, it sounds like Cornbread, Bosco, and Jasmine all started their HRT around the same time as well. Which is also like incredible. I might be wrong. Someone correct me in the comments if I am, but it's so lovely to see where Drag Race has gone now, looking at like where it was and where RuPaul specifically was. And now we have 5 trans contestants in the last 2 seasons. And obviously like they weren't aware of Cornbread, Bosco, or Jasmine, most likely, at the time of casting them, but just to see where we're at now is just absolutely incredible, and it makes me very happy.
Very that.
Yeah. So, a lovely note to end on. But yes, that has been what we think about season 14, episode 7 of RuPaul's Rigged Against Daya Betty race. But what do y'all think? Let us know in the comments. Let us know on social media. Follow us at @thecup_reality on Twitter. Follow Brandon and Jay because they're amazing. Follow all of our lovely co-hosts. You can follow me too. I tweet about Pokemon and Drag Race and Eurovision. That's about it. So if you like that, tune in. But we will be back next week. Very excited to talk about the 60s Girl Group Challenge. And with that, cheers to you all. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Goodbye.